watched the unveiling of the new Tesla semi-truck. It's kind of interesting. You know, I'm the kind of guy, I do embrace the future. I do embrace it to an extent. I don't like the idea of possibly having a machine take over our jobs, obviously. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be quite that cut and dry. However, though, I just want to talk a little bit about that Tesla Semi. It sounds good. You know, it doesn't sound bad. It has a drag coefficient of less than a Bugatti Chiron, which, you know, is a 200 and I think they reached 275 miles an hour or something like that. 270. I forget what the max speed is on the Bugatti Chiron. But it's about a $2 million supercar, well, hypercar. It goes beyond that of the supercar status into that of the hypercar status because it's such a fast and pricey car. But anyway, it has a very slippery coefficient, or it has a very slippery drag efficient, you know, of a 0.38, and the new Tesla Semi has a 0.36. Yeah, that's great. It really is great. You know, they say under being fully loaded, it'll drive 500 miles on one charge. You know, with an 80,000 pound load in the back. You know, okay, it's you know, okay. They tried to say that, I don't know how true this is, but 80% of all routes are 250 miles or less. I think they probably took that from a local, from something that was based around local driving stats. I don't see how that would be, you know, how that's true for over-the-road drivers. Regardless, 500 miles to a charge, fully loaded. They're trying to say, you know, the 0 to 60 time empty would be 5 seconds, which is good. That's actually nearly on par with a C5 Corvette, which is what they made from 97 to 2005, or 2004, I mean. And then loaded with 80,000 pounds, they're good. They can hit 60 miles an hour in 20 seconds. They can go up a 5% grade at 65 miles an hour. You know, it all sounds great on the surface. They say it'll save 25 cents per mile to go back into the driver's pocket. They're saying that it averages out to be $1.51 per mile to operate a diesel semi, and $1.26 to operate the Tesla Semi. But one thing that they did not, they completely decided not to even mention is the actual initial cost of that truck. I can't find the actual cost anywhere, but the speculation is that the batteries alone to run this truck are going to cost $400,000. That's something I read somewhere. I don't know how true it is, but $400,000. See, the Nikola, however you pronounce it, the Nikola semi truck had a price tag of $350,000. That's $200,000 to $220,000 above the average semi, especially in a fleet. When a company buys trucks, you know, in bulk, they get them for a little cheaper. You know, especially when they're all the same truck, you know, optioned out the exact same and everything. They get a little bit of a deal. So the Nikola truck, like I said, was a $350,000 truck, and I didn't really see the savings. You know, I don't see how the savings would have been there for it over time. Now the Tesla, they're talking about $400,000 for just the battery packs. So the truck itself is going to be, you know, who knows? I mean, it could be a $600,000 truck if the batteries are actually 400. You know, it could be a $550,000 to a $600,000 truck. But going off of the $350,000 price tag of the Nikola, the 25-cent difference, you know, most trucking companies will keep a truck for about 4 years. That's about when the warranty expires, and then after the 4 years, they trade it in for a new truck. It's a cycle. That's what I'm looking for. They rotate the trucks in and out, you know, every 4 years. So within 4 years, the 25%, the 25 cents is only going to be a total of $120,000 saved. So that would mean that that's still that only makes up half the difference of the 350 versus the 150. So there's no way that the savings is going to make up for the initial cost. So I don't know, I'd like to hear more about it, but right now it's not looking like it's going to be a particularly financially sound option. Like I said, I like the idea, but it's not practical. The price is not a practical price for a driver. A company cannot afford multiple, $500,000 trucks, and an owner-operator, I don't know of a single owner-operator, that can, do. There are some owner-operators out there with some really high-dollar trucks, that are custom, but I don't know a single owner-operator that would pay $500,000 for a truck. I just, I don't see it. I don't know how much some of these trucks have in them from the custom aspect, but it sure as hell isn't 500. Maybe it is. I don't know, but I highly doubt that any of these owner-operators have $500,000 in their trucks. I just don't see that. Speaking of which, that's a nice-looking truck coming in here. I just don't see how that's possible. But, regardless, the savings is just not there. To justify, the savings to justify the means. It's not there. So, I don't know what Tesla's thinking, but it's kind of the same thing as, why we haven't converted everything over to electric yet. People are, coal and oil is bad. Well, we need those things to run the the electrical plants. That is a really nice looking Peterbilt. I like that a lot. Look at that thing. That's gorgeous. I love the color. But anyway, what I was saying was that I guess I'm just reiterating now, but nobody's going to pay for that, The cost is just not justifiable. It just isn't. And we need, what I was saying was, the reason we haven't switched everything over to electric yet is because it's impractical. It's not something that is completely renewable without the use of coal or oil, We need those things to run the power plants and things like that. To run the electricity. I know I'm not saying that right, but you know what I mean. We need the coal and everything to run our electricity in our houses and our cars. If you have an electric car, you got to plug in. You're utilizing a so-called dirty source that you don't like to utilize, but without it, you wouldn't be able to charge your electric car. So, it's kind of that same concept as far as I'm concerned, where, yeah, it's a nice idea, to have an electric semi, but, that Peterbilt there on the right, you're not going to make an electric semi look as beautiful as that. If they're trying to say it's about, a clean environment, but they're trying to suggest that this will, help impede on the so-called global warming epidemic. And the problem is, it's just nobody can afford it. No trucking company and no independent contractor can afford the price tag that's going to be on that truck. And I do like how Elon Musk conveniently left that bit of information out. He was glad to announce every other tidbit of useless information. Like 0 to 60, because we really care about that. I understand it can be useful, because the faster it'll accelerate, the faster we'll get through an intersection, blah, blah, blah. But we're not out here racing our trucks. And he he wanted to give all that information out, but he would not give out the cost, or even a projected cost. He gave out the savings, per mile, but that doesn't include the cost of the truck. Somebody did the math. I just read an article that you'd have to drive over 1 million miles on that truck if it was just the cost of the battery pack, which is $400,000. But keep in mind, they got to, you got to pay for the truck itself too, so it'll be on top of that price tag of the batteries. But they're saying that, for the $400,000 price tag, you'd have to get about 1 million miles plus out of that truck before you even broke even. So I just don't see where it's at. I don't see how they think it's going to work. But that's just kind of the way it is. I don't mean to turn it political, but that's how a lot of these people are that are wanting to push an agenda, for how bad global warming is. And oh look, all you have to do is drive an electric truck, and you will do your part to clean the air. And so it's just. But they don't like to, show you the ugly, which is, for one thing, the cost of the truck. And the other thing is that it's going to have to use charcoal, or charcoal. It's going to have to use coal to charge the truck. And not to mention how unbelievably unfriendly the batteries are. Where, when it comes to mining